This is our large shoe package. I'm going to show you how to put that together today. So here's our template. It's on 2 pages, and there are a couple of things you need to do before you cut it out. You need to do your coloring, and that will help to protect your table. It doesn't get on the table. And then we'll need to score it. I'll show you how to do that. So we'll color in this part of the sole of the shoe. Here. And then we'll color it in here and here. So let me finish one place and then I'll show you the others. That way if I go over, I don't need to worry about my table. Before I cut it out, this is rather important. When this is cardstock, if I was using paper, I wouldn't need to do this, but because this is a little bit heavier, if you'll just score on the dotted lines, I'm just taking my scissors, want to be as exact as I can, and I'm running a line across there. When I go to fold, it will just fold very nicely for me. And I'm not worried about if I'm going over because I haven't cut it out. I'm not going to scratch my table. Okay, I'm ready to cut. The lines are light gray. Makes it nice. It doesn't show up quite as harsh when you're done cutting. If the lines are too light for darker paper and it's printed, you could always print this on the light side and then reverse your folds. If that paper gets too bulky, hard to cut, just take part of it off and keep cutting. You can always go back, catch any little places where you want to clean it up a little bit. You'll need a 45-inch lace, shoelace for this. If you decide to use ribbon or jute, you might want a few extra inches to trim. Ribbon sometimes frays when you thread it, or jute, or if you want to tie a knot. If you're doing something heavy, you will want the cardstock. Do not use any paper lighter than 24 pound for this size shoe. That's generally your scrapbook weight or your nicer colored papers. Okay, I have my 3 pieces. And right where I scored, that will help me fold. So I have that side. Okay, so this will fit into here and these pieces here. Before we do that, let's punch these holes. You can do it later, but it's a little easier when you don't have it all together. So now we'll start putting this together. I like to do the heel first. Take some scratch paper that you just had. I like to glue and tape. That way it's more secure for whatever I put into it. It doesn't start pulling away. A little bit of extra there. So I'll take that and line up the bottom and the sides. And it'll probably pop out on you. Don't worry about that. In fact, it's kind of good because it's a little bit flexible. If I decide, oh, I'm off just a little bit on my placement, before that glue dries, I can move it. Okay, so slide that around just a little bit. So I've got that part in. And I'll line up these. Okay, then I can check. If I need to make adjustments, I can. If the glue has dried a little bit, I can always take a toothpick and run it down the seam and add a little more glue. I'm going to do the same with this. On this one, I'm just going to glue this front piece, and I'll use glue dots on the tabs. You can also use glue there and tape. It's just a little bit trickier to try to get it in place. These little dots of glue are really handy. They're small, they're sticky, they work very well. So just press the two together, push it down, and push it together. Okay, now I just need to push my tongue down and lace it. This is a purchased shoelace, but you could, again, like I said, use ribbon or jute. Jute works really well if you're doing this for a boy, that or a white shoelace, or maybe a blue, depending on the color of shoe you pick. So take a few minutes and make sure your laces are the same length. Okay. And this is usually fairly sturdy. I haven't had any of my eyelets pull out. If you were worried about that, you could put some tape on the inside or use some of those notebook reinforcements. If you wanted to teach how to tie a shoe, you would definitely want to reinforce and use cardstock. Okay, so I have my shoe laced. I just need to tie my bow. And I could put tissue paper in. Something that I like to use are these coffee filters. They're just the right shape. If I hold my shoe open, push those down inside, then I can add whatever gift or treats I'd like to the center of that, and I'm ready to deliver.